A mother in Kuala Lumpur just paid more for cooking oil than her monthly water bill. And it's not just her. Right now, across Malaysia, families are making impossible choices. Fill the tank or fill the fridge. Drive to work or feed the kids 3 meals. Since 2022, the price of essential goods has surged by 60%. 60%. That's not inflation. That's a crisis. And if you're watching this feeling like your paycheck disappears faster every month, like you're working harder but falling further behind, this video is for you. Because what's happening in Malaysia isn't just about rising prices. It's about a perfect storm that's crushing the middle class, forcing families to make devastating choices, and pushing thousands to leave the country entirely. So let's break down exactly what's happening, who's getting hurt the worst, and what you can actually do about it before it's too late. Meet Ahmad, 34 years old, ride-hail driver in Johor Bahru. 2 years ago, Ahmad was pulling an RM 150 a day. Not rich, but enough. Enough to cover his family's rent, food, his kids' school supplies. Then the RON 95 subsidy cuts hit. Overnight, his fuel costs jumped. And because everyone else's fuel costs jumped too, people stopped taking rides. Ahmad's daily income dropped to RM 80. On bad days, RM 60. Now, every morning, Ahmad makes a choice. Fill the tank halfway, or make sure his kids eat 3 meals that day. He stands at the pump, watching the numbers climb like a timer, counting down his children's dinner. This isn't a story. This is data with a face. According to Malaysia's Department of Statistics, fuel inflation jumped 43% between 2022 and 2024. For drivers like Ahmad, that 43% didn't just cut into profit margins, it cut into survival. But fuel was just the beginning of Malaysia's cost crisis. Because when fuel prices explode, everything else follows. And what happened to food prices? That's where things get truly devastating. Picture this. Your favorite chicken rice stall. 2 years ago, a plate cost you RM 6.50. Today, RM 10.50. That's not premium chicken. That's the same stall, same recipe, same portion. But suddenly, it costs 60% more. Meet City, 52 years old. She's run a hawker stall in Penang for 18 years. She used to serve 200 customers a day. Lines out the door. Regulars who'd come 3-4 times a week. Today, she serves 85 people. On a good day. Not because her food got worse. Because her customers can't afford to eat out anymore. They're making the same impossible choice as Ahmad is. Stretch the rice. Skip lunch. Cook at home, even when you're exhausted from work. City sees it in their faces when they walk past her stall, eyes down, pretending they didn't smell the char kway teow. So she did something radical. She started offering meal-splitting packages. Half portions at 60% of the price. So families could still taste something other than instant noodles once a week. Here's the official data. Bank Negara Malaysia's March 2024 report showed food inflation hit 5.9%, the highest in ASEAN. But that's just the average. For cooking oil, chicken, rice, and vegetables, the things ordinary Malaysians actually eat, prices jumped 8% to 12%. And here's what should terrify you. 1 in 4 Malaysian families now skips meals to make ends meet. Not skips dining out. Skips eating. Think about that. We're not talking about cutting back on luxuries. We're talking about hunger. But here's what the government isn't telling you about why this happened so fast. Because Malaysia didn't just catch inflation from the rest of the world. Malaysia created its own perfect storm. Let me show you the 3 dominoes that fell in perfect, devastating sequence. Domino 1. The ringgit collapsed. Between 2022 and 2024, the Malaysian ringgit dropped 20% against the US dollar. Why does that matter? Because Malaysia imports 40% of its food supply, and all those imports are paid in US dollars. So even if global food prices stayed the same, which they didn't, Malaysians were automatically paying 20% more just because of currency weakness. Domino 2. The government removed RON 95 subsidies at literally the worst possible moment during a global oil price spike. This hit transportation costs, which hit distribution costs, which hit the price of everything that needs to move from port to plate. Domino 3. Malaysia's import dependency. Unlike Thailand or Vietnam, which produce most of their own food, Malaysia relies heavily on imports. So when global supply chains choked and the ringgit weakened, Malaysian families got hit twice. This wasn't bad luck. This was predictable. And yet, here we are. But 3 families I talked to found a way to cut their costs by 35% without leaving Malaysia. I'm going to show you exactly how they did it. But first, there's one more hidden cost that's destroying Malaysian savings, and almost nobody's talking about it. Fuel went up. Food went up. But you know what also went up quietly while everyone was distracted? Everything else. Electricity tariffs, up 14.2%. Water, up 8%. Rent in Kuala Lumpur, up 22% in just 2 years. Meet the Lee family. Subang Jaya. Both parents working. Combined income, RM 8,500 a month. By Malaysian standards, they're doing okay, right? Middle class. Comfortable. Here's their monthly breakdown. Rent, RM 2,200. Utilities, RM 450. Fuel, RM 600. Food, RM 1,800. Kids' school expenses, RM 800. Insurance and healthcare, RM 650. Internet and phones, RM 200. Add it up. That's RM 6,700. Out of RM 8,500, they have RM 1,800 left. But wait, we haven't counted car payments, maintenance, emergency repairs, or literally any form of savings or entertainment. After everything, the Lees had RM 400 left each month. 400 ringgit. 4 working professionals with a combined income of RM 8,500. Their breaking point came when they had to pull their daughter from tuition classes. Not because she didn't need them, because they literally couldn't afford the RM 300 a month anymore. Mrs. Lee cried in the car that day, but then they made a radical decision. They relocated to Ipoh. Same jobs, both work remotely. Same income, but their rent dropped to RM 1,100. Utilities dropped by 30%. Food costs dropped 25%. Overnight, they started saving RM 2,200 a month. Their daughter's back in tuition. They actually go out for dinner now. According to the Khazanah Research Institute, Kuala Lumpur's cost of living index is 67% higher than Tier 2 cities like Ipoh, Malacca, and Kuantan. Same country, same language, same culture, but your money goes twice as far. The Lees didn't leave Malaysia. They just left the trap. Now, you might be thinking, wait, didn't the government announce aid packages? Billions in subsidies and cash handouts. Yes, they did. The Malaysian government announced RM 10 billion in relief measures. Cash assistance, targeted subsidies, cost of living allowances. So why are families still drowning? Here are the 3 problems nobody's talking about. Problem 1, targeting. The aid programs were designed for the bottom 40% income group, the B40. Which makes sense, right? Help those who need it most. But here's what happened. The middle class, the people earning RM 5,000 to RM 12,000 a month, got squeezed out. They make too much for assistance, but not enough to absorb 60% price increases. Problem 2, implementation delays. Many programs took 6 months to roll out. 6 months. When your groceries cost 40% more and your fuel costs 50% more, you can't wait 6 months. Families were already in crisis mode by the time the aid arrived. Problem 3, one-time payments versus permanent inflation. The government gave out cash handouts. One-time payments of RM 1,200, RM 1,500. But the price increases? Those are permanent. So you get RM 1,200 once, and then you keep paying inflated prices forever. Here's the shocking stat. Government cash handouts increased by 300% between 2022 and 2024. But purchasing power still dropped by 18%. Meet Raja, 45 years old, construction worker in Kuala Lumpur. He received RM 1,200 in government aid. He was grateful. It lasted 3 weeks. 3 weeks of covering just the basics: rent, food, transport. Then it was gone. Raja told me, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a broken bone. And he's right, because the real fracture is deeper. It's structural, and the costs aren't just financial anymore. Here's what no one's tracking: the invisible cost. In September 2024, University Malaya released a public health study. They found that financial stress-related anxiety among Malaysian households increased by 89% in just 2 years. 89%. That's not a trend. That's an epidemic. Meet Nurul, 29 years old. I work at a bank in Kuala Lumpur. Decent salary. Stable job. She should be fine, right? 6 months ago, Nurul started having panic attacks at grocery store checkouts. She'd load up her cart with basic rice, cooking oil, chicken, and then at the register, watching the total climb, her chest would tighten. Her vision would blur. She'd start sweating. She stopped going out with friends. Cancel a cousin's wedding. Cut out every social activity to save RM $500 a month. Her breaking point came in her car, alone, after checking her bank balance. She just sat there and cried. But here's where Nurul's story changes. She found a community bulk buying cooperative on Facebook. 20 families pooling their grocery orders, buying directly from suppliers, cutting out middlemen. They saved 30% on average. For Nurul, that was RM $900 a month. But more than the money, it was the community. The realization that she wasn't alone, that everyone was struggling, that there were solutions the government wasn't providing, but people were creating themselves. And she's not alone, because across Malaysia, communities are building their own safety nets. And it's working. Malaysians are solving the cost of living crisis themselves. Without government programs. Without subsidies. Just people helping people. Here are 5 practical solutions emerging across the country. 1. Bulk buying cooperatives. Groups of 20 to 50 families pooling grocery orders and buying directly from wholesalers. Average savings, 30%. 2. Carpooling networks. Organized fuel cost sharing programs. For people, 1 car, rotating drivers. Fuel costs drop 40% per person. 3. Urban farming collectives. Rooftop gardens, community plots in Selangor and Penang. Growing vegetables, sharing harvests. Some families cut produce costs by 50%. 4. Skill swap platforms. Instead of paying cash, people trade services. A teacher tutors your kid, you fix their car. An accountant does your taxes, you cook them meals. No money changes hands, but everyone saves. 5. Relocation cooperatives. Groups helping families move together to lower-cost states, with job placement support and shared moving expenses. In 2024 alone, over 40,000 Malaysians joined cost-sharing platforms. One group in Petaling Jaya cut their monthly costs by RM 1,800 per family. They didn't wait for the government. They didn't complain on social media. They just organized and acted. And here's what's fascinating. These solutions aren't just saving money. They're rebuilding community. People know their neighbors again. They trust each other. They work together. The government couldn't fix this, but ordinary Malaysians are. So here's where we are. Every Malaysian family now faces 3 paths forward. And the choice you make in the next 30 days will determine whether you survive or thrive in the next 2 years. Path 1. Status quo. Keep struggling. Hope the government fixes it. Wait for subsidies to trickle down. Keep cutting expenses and hoping your salary keeps up. Here's what that path looks like. The OECD projects real wages in Malaysia will drop another 12% by 2026 if current trends continue, which means you'll be working just as hard, but able to afford 12% less. Path 2. Geographic arbitrage. Move to a lower-cost region within Malaysia. Cities like Malacca, Ipoh, Kuantan, even Johor outside JB, these places are 40% to 60% cheaper than Kuala Lumpur or Penang. Same country, same culture, same language, but your RM 6,000 salary goes twice as far. Remote work makes this possible for thousands of Malaysians who never considered it before. Path 3. Community economics. Join or create collective cost reduction networks. Bulk buying co-ops. Carpooling systems. Skill swap platforms. Urban farming groups. Proven results. RM 1,200 to RM 2,500 monthly savings per household. Plus, you build a support system that goes beyond money. The question isn't if things will get harder. The economic data is clear. The question is, What will you do in the next 30 days? Because there's one more thing you need to know. Something that should terrify every Malaysian watching this. Here's something shocking. Malaysia's inflation pain is worse than Thailand, Indonesia, and Vietnam combined. Let me show you the numbers. Thailand's food inflation in 2024, 2.8%. Indonesia, 3.1%. Vietnam, 3.5%. Malaysia, 5.9%. We're nearly double our neighbors. But it gets worse. When you factor in wage growth, currency stability, and cost of living ratios, Malaysia has become the most expensive place to be middle class in Southeast Asia. Not Singapore, that's always been expensive, but wages match. Malaysia's problem is different. Costs are skyrocketing while wages stagnate. A middle-class family in Bangkok can afford more than a middle-class family in Kuala Lumpur. That sentence should never be true, but it is. And there's one final cost no one saw coming. One that might change Malaysia forever. Malaysians are leaving. Not for better jobs. Not for career advancement. For survival. Talent Corp's 2024 data shows brain drain accelerated by 34%. The highest rate since the 1997 Asian financial crisis. Doctors, engineers, teachers, accountants, the backbone of the middle class is packing up and leaving. Meet the Tan family. Both doctors. Combined income, RM 25,000 a month. By any measure, they're wealthy, right? Wrong. With 2 kids in Kuala Lumpur, private school fees, housing, and cost of living, they were barely saving RM 2,000 a month. After 12 years of university and medical training. Last year, they moved to Australia. Here's what Dr. Tan told me. We earn the same relative amount, about 60th percentile for doctors. But in Melbourne, we actually have money left. We're not rich, but we're not constantly stressed. The difference isn't the salary. It's that costs haven't spiraled out of control. According to the World Bank, Malaysia's cost-to-income ratio for middle-income earners is among the worst in Asia. You work hard, earn decent money, and still can't get ahead. That's not a personal failure. That's a system failure. And it's driving Malaysia's best and brightest to look for the exit. So here's what I need to know from you. Are you staying and fighting? Are you relocating to a cheaper Malaysian city? Or are you considering leaving the country entirely? Because this conversation is just starting. Drop your city and your biggest cost struggle in the comments. Let's build a real solution map together. Let's crowdsource survival strategies that actually work. And if you think the government's subsidies will fix this, I genuinely want to hear why. Because the data says otherwise. But maybe I'm missing something. Here's the reality. Tomorrow, 10,000 more Malaysian families will choose between fuel and food. Between driving to work and eating 3 meals. Between staying in Malaysia and finding somewhere their money actually works. Will you be ready? Or will you be next? Hit that like button if this video opened your eyes. Subscribe if you want more deep dives on what's really happening in Malaysia and Southeast Asia. And share this with anyone who's feeling the squeeze, because they need to know they're not alone and that there are solutions. The cost of living crisis won't fix itself. But maybe, just maybe, we can fix it together. I'll see you in the comments and in the next video.